For 73 days, I was learning reverse engineering simply by reading this book right here, Reverse Engineering, Secrets of Reverse Engineering. But it wasn't too easy, actually. Honestly, it was kind of difficult. There were a lot of different concepts and topics that I had to take some time with. And I'd say that I probably learned about 70% of what reverse engineering really is simply by reading the book. But that 30% really came from me trying to go on to CrackMe and doing some of the challenges themselves. Now, honestly, when I first started reading the book, assembly looked crazy to me. I was like, what is this? And over time, I slowly started learning how to read it from right to left, going through the operands, the opcodes, what do those even mean? And I got used to it. Now it doesn't seem so scary. Like, yeah, I can read some of that assembly code, I'll read it. I kind of understand what it means. Do I need to know it? Who knows? Now, off the top of my head, the most important things that I think I learned from this book are: one, what reverse engineering as a whole is, what we can and cannot do. For example, if the program itself is encrypted or it's been packed, if you don't know how to unpack it or you don't have the key, you're gonna have a hard time trying to reverse engineer that program. Also learning about certain things that developers will do to try to prevent somebody from reverse engineering, like anti-debugging techniques, different debugger checks, obfuscation, try to prevent somebody from reading the code, packing and encrypting. But I think the overall gist of what I learned from this book is that you can learn assembly, you can learn what it looks like, but the issue is that there are many different versions of it. Every CPU has a different assembly language. They all look a little bit similar, but you shouldn't expect yourself to learn all of those languages. Maybe pick one, the most popular one, and go through it from there. You don't even need to learn all of the stuff in it. I'd say you know how to read a good chunk of assembly, you're good to go. You can now use Ghidra to then have it reverse engineer that code for you and try to give you some kind of higher level representation of it. And then you can copy paste that into some LLM and it'll try to give you a good representation of what that code means. Another big thing is data flow analysis. Probably the biggest part of what this book talks about. Now, when you open this up with a program like Ghidra, you're going to see a lot of information and a lot of it doesn't really matter. Some of the things that do matter are imports, exports, entry points, main functions, certain functions, symbols, strings, and data flow analysis. The data flow is simply saying, where does the user input any kind of data? Where does it go? Does it get decrypted? And then where does it output? If you can follow this all the way through the program, you can then focus on only those areas without having to go through and read all the different programs. You don't have to waste your time trying to decrypt everything, trying to unpack everything, trying to deobfuscate everything. Only focus on the main parts related to the data flow, related to the actual functionality of what the program is trying to do. If the program is trying to encrypt your password, see where it's taking in your password, see where it's going from function A to function B, and then try to find that section that'll encrypt the password and check that logic. That's the only thing we should actually focus on. When I would go and open these programs, I would be like, wow, I have to learn all this, I have to know everything. Not necessarily, you just need to know those things I mentioned, and the biggest part is the data flow analysis. So say you actually opened up one of these programs with Ghidra. Now you actually found the entry points where the data is coming in. You see the data flow analysis where your password is going, and then you grab that function where all the actual algorithm is being laid out. Grab that, you copy it, and then you try to go through the actual conditionals, the for loops, the while loops, and you try to figure out the algorithm being used. I would say that this is probably the hardest part of reverse engineering. Reversing the actual algorithm being used for the core functionality of the whole program. If you can figure that part out, usually people will make this into something called key generators, or something that can generate a key to be able to unlock the rest of the features. You make your own key generator, or you apply a patch to the actual executable, recompile it, and then use that program itself. But you would first need to know the major functions, the algorithm, and where to look for it. Now, after you've done all of this, you've patched it, or you figured out the algorithm, you created a key generator, you then need to actually just try the program. Run the program in whatever environment it's made for. So if it's for Windows, run it in a Windows machine, Linux, a Linux machine, and then try to see and catch any different outputs. What happens if you enter the right password? What happens if you enter the wrong password? What happens if you don't enter anything? You can then use these strings as your markers for the entry point or things to look for. Anything that you're trying to do, the first thing is to gather requirements, gather data, and do reconnaissance. That'll enable you to then decide where exactly to then look for these different entry points and whatnot. To do that, you can run the program, collect data on it, use it, try to see how it works, run strings commands through it, bin walk commands to then see what it's actually made out of, how it's made, and you go from there. Use that information to then gather other information, try to unpack it, try to read it with Ghidra, etc. So I think that's a pretty good gist of the important parts of what this book actually talks about. And kind of what I wanted to just get off my chest here and just kind of just talk about it a little bit. I would say for me to feel actually more confident, I would probably do some more crack me's and then go through those, really study what everything is doing. Maybe I'll get better at trying to figure out what debuggers are being attached and other little specifics of the actual field. But if this is where I want to call it and I'm not going to go further in, I'd say I still learned about 80% of what reverse engineering is, what we can do, what we can't do, and how to get started if I want to do it tomorrow. That's all I got today. Keep on reading, everyone. I'm going to start a new series, a new book, and I'll see y'all later.